This is a good question. If I haven't had a non-dual recognition yet, should I just rest as awareness, be aware of awareness as much as possible? Or should I do the kill the bee inquiries where I go into unconscious or subconscious traumas? And I would say it's not just traumas, anything that's unconscious, that's believed, that creates suffering is what we do at the kill the bee inquiries. This is a great question. It kind of challenges me to find an answer that's clear. I don't know. It occurs to me to like look at it this way. I don't know if I can do this. Like this represents you and your field of consciousness. What you're aware of is in front of you. So I'm looking at what I'm aware of. As I wake up, I can only wake up out of what I'm aware of. So if what I'm aware of, I believe I'm this or I believe that, this program, that trauma, then waking up would be waking up out of that identity that's associated with that. Recognizing that you're not the stories associated with that, you're not the feelings or thoughts associated with anything that's conscious. But the problem is right back here, even as you awaken to awareness, it can seem like you've awoken like it's the full enchilada, right? Because in your field of awareness, you can't see yet what's unconscious. So the field feels clear, like there's no self and there's no separation. It's very convincing with regard to what you've made conscious, for sure. But again, right back here is are layers of things that I've seen in most people that then start manifesting even after the awakening. They start manifesting in someone's life. So let's say there's a lot of shame back here, um, or trauma. Then they might see like it still feels very clear, like there's no self still. But then my body, meaning the person's body, starts going to the casino all the time. That's happened before. Working with someone, they woke up and what they couldn't see was this conditioning right below that came right to the surface. It happens a lot, um, where the behavior of the individual starts showing up first before the individual is aware of it. The individual meaning before there's not really an individual. The consciousness before there's an awakeness to it. There's often behavior that's running unconsciously. This is why I think that there have been scandals in the past. Is to the extent that some teacher did something unlawful or non-consensual, unless it's just their condition, their cultural conditioning or something, uh, or that like they don't understand the rules of a particular culture. What it could be is right back here. There's like trauma or something believed in that teacher, for example, but they're not aware of it. So they woke up, but not with regard to what's unconscious. So then the unconsciousness is infusing behavior, driving behavior. And so the people around that teacher may first notice the behavior. The teacher may show up clear because, with regard to what's conscious, what was ever made conscious, they've seen through that. But then the behavior doesn't match that for people. This is where we get the guru scandals, I think, is that it's like someone presents themselves in satsang a certain way and then very unconsciously behaves differently when they get off. Now, what is that? The only thing that I can say you could even attribute that to is that we can only wake up, we can only see through what we can first see. If I can't see it, I can't see through it. I can't see that it's an illusion if I don't even know it's there, meaning if it's repressed or unconscious. So you can wake up, to answer the question, you can wake up without dealing with all of the unconscious stuff. Because with regard to whatever it is that you do believe, whatever your conditioning that does show up, you can see that you're not that. But then again, right behind the wings is our other layers, and this is what I've been calling the embodiment process. So the experience of waking up can happen without bringing forth all of those layers. And in fact, I don't think most people are able to bring up all those layers of the unconscious. So, with regard to whatever is believed and is seen from awareness, it can be awakening up. But the body keeps the score. I don't know why I keep looking that way, just to show you the visual that I can't see this. The body, whatever I'm believing up here that I can't see, The body most likely holds that energy somewhere, whether it's grief in the stomach or fear somewhere, something, and then that Velcro keeps it in place. And we may not even be fully aware yet of the body, like certain contractions. Even once you wake up, you may not be aware of what's going on fully in your body. But as you explore that, that tight fisted stomach, that contracted heart, you start to see these programs that were previously unconscious, now they are conscious. So the embodiment is, or the deepening is, as things become conscious, there's a deeper abiding, a deeper knowing, embodiment, aliveness, connection, compassion. Like those things that we value come online as we go deeper into the unconscious. So the answer is no. You don't, to wake up to awareness is just to see that the content that appears to awareness is not you and that you're what's awake to it. But that has no bearing necessarily on what's behind here. That's all I'm saying. What's unconscious hasn't come up yet. That's why I say in one of the videos is that we could talk about enlightenment or awakening or whatever as a matter of degree instead of duality, like enlightened versus not enlightenment, as if that's a false binary choice. Enlightened or not enlightened, embodied or not embodied. If you really look at what happens in experience, there can be awakening to awareness, for example, and that feels very clear. And someone might think, well, that's it. I've woken up. But then as this unconscious pattern or patterns comes to the surface, it might even feel like for a moment you're overtaken by that for a period of time until that's seen through. And then because now that's made conscious and seen through, and that was connected to the body, embodiment, remember? Then the body starts to feel more translucent. Where there was once contraction or emotional congestion or trauma, shame, connected to an unconscious pattern, as the pattern comes to the surface, that's seen. So those programs and the Velcro connected to them can be unseen. And that's the experience of deepening or something like that, that is not like the initial awakening. It's hard to express, but it's like there's a deeper knowing that shows up, or a deeper sort of uh, living this. You can feel it when an unconscious pattern comes to the surface and then falls away. How you might feel it again would be different, but for me, it would be like just more abiding as awareness now, because the body and that unconscious pattern aren't controlling me as much or creating suffering. If you look at some of the guru scandals in the past, some of those, quite a few of them, I think, were done with teachers who sort of took the stance that they'd already woken up, and in that way are kind of untouchable. And I think that that's dangerous because of this thing where you can only see through what you can actually see. So if someone begins teaching, they're going to only be able to show you that they've seen through what has been made conscious. They cannot say that they've seen through what hasn't been made conscious yet. So the issue with that is if a teacher or anyone presents themselves as already awakened, like done, then there's not even an openness to these unconscious layers. So then what can happen is this unconscious stuff starts then, their body starts behaving a certain way. Maybe there's a sexual thing, a compulsion, or maybe something else is going on over here. And everybody's looking at the person, seeing that it's going on, but the person can't see it yet because it's unconscious. Just the body is just doing something. So the process of embodiment is to notice that that's happening and then bring that pattern into consciousness, like the words, pictures, the feelings, sensations that drive that behavior. And then in seeing that as it falls away, there's a transformation around that, whatever that was. But if a teacher or anyone says they're done, as if there's nothing else to see back here, you could see that when they start doing behavior that others find reprehensible, they might not even be open to hearing it because within their field of awareness, it's like just clear, like there's no self. I'm coming from freedom. I am literally liberation embodied or something. And that's the blind spot right there. And that can be really frustrating. I didn't mean to just take it into teachers, but I just did a video where someone asked about this. So I brought that into the mix. I did not work out all my unconscious traumas before I woke up. It did not happen. That's why I have experience with this. What happened is that whatever it is that I was believing, that got seen through. But waiting in the wings were these other layers of things that revealed themselves over time. If you've heard me talk about the sexual compulsion in my life, 2007, non dual awakening, very convincing. Because to the extent that whatever conditioning was there, like whatever identity was there, it's like, that's not real. Seeing through it. And then very quickly, I did not know this, but some old trauma and shame and very core deficiency story that didn't get seen through were operating right back here. I couldn't see it. And what I first noticed is that my body compulsively went towards certain sexual partners. And I mean compulsively. This is going on here. My body's doing this. If I would have been someone who tried to put their flag in the ground to say, I'm done, and this sexual compulsion is just conditioning arising in awareness, there's nothing, I'd be fooling myself because the behavior was compulsive and unconscious. So to try to explain it away with non-dual language doesn't make any sense. To, this is what you hear people doing all the time, frankly, is that they're saying after awakening, the things just continue. Yeah, they do. But these unconscious patterns that are not seen, that's why that behavior continues if something hasn't been seen. That's a tricky one. But no, I did not remove all my traumas and all my shame and all that before I woke to awareness. Nor do you have to. But what I'm saying is, watch what happens after that awakeness dawns on you, or as you recognize that. Watch your body, watch what it does, watch your relationships, listen to other people. Other people will clue you into things that you're believing. Stay open. And then as you wake up, just watch how these patterns come. They're trying to get your attention, and you may not be paying attention. Like there might be this addiction going on back here, and it's actually trying to show you in a way that there's an unconscious pattern, unconscious beliefs there, traumas, shame. But it might show up as I just want to drink beer all the time. It may not show up at first with as all this is connected to it, but the behavior can show you, can take you into inquiry. The Kilby inquiries are designed to like look at a behavior and pull up the unconscious programs connected to it so that there can be a transformation around the behavior. And I'll just leave you with this one example, which I always talk about of why this is actually happening for people is remember, I repressed anger unknowingly early in my life. So as the awakeness dawned, there's no way that I could have seen through the anger because it was repressed. An aspect of it was repressed. Lo and behold, that was a program back here, literal program in the mind that says you're not going to feel and express real rage or anger. You will not. It is not safe. That was going on. And so when the awakening happened, anger repression was happening. That was going on, but no consciousness of the programs behind it, right? So fast forward to 2017, as you heard me tell my story, intense chronic pain sets in. Excruciating, sometimes debilitating. And the pain showed up but what was connected to it was still unconscious. The anger repression story was not made conscious. So all that I was experiencing, all that was coming up in awareness was physical pain. You see, because everything else was right back here, could not see it. So the healing that happened came from bringing this unconscious stuff. The story about repressing anger and everything that attends that came into awareness. I brought it into awareness with the Killaby inquiries. And then as that was seen through, pain leaves. You don't have to clean up all your shit in order to awaken, but watch what happens if you awaken to awareness and you don't do that kind of work. Just watch what happens. I talk about it all the time on here if you want to tune in, because people are always asking me questions about post awakening embodiment. So just keep tuning in and we'll keep talking about that.